How we doing? Good. I'd like to thank you guys for coming tonight, or today. On behalf of the University of Louisville Student Government Association, welcome to Chow Auditorium and the very first Listen Up Legislators event of the year. We in Student Government entitled these higher education sessions Listen Up Legislators for a reason. We do so because higher education is a covenant between students and their university, between students and their state. It's a covenant that requires lots of interaction and lots of listening. And that's what we hope to promote today. However, this covenant is also something more. This covenant is one where we students are expected to generate research, acquire accolades, and contribute to a positive campus community. What we hope for in exchange is a university that challenges us and a state that champions us. We at the University of Louisville are privileged to have both. Now, please join me in welcoming the leader of our portion of this covenant, Student Body President, O.J. Olay.
Thanks, Blake, and thank you for getting this event together. I mean, everybody gets to see me because I get to be out there, but really it's folks like Blake that kind of make student government go. So thank you, Blake, for making In these times of economic recovery and shortfall of funding, it can become very easy to pass up the issues and goals that don't seem as tangible. After all, it's easy for state accountants to measure the dollar amount of an interstate highway paved, new building built, or an old farm subsidized. But what isn't as clear, but infinitely more necessary, is the investment in the people, more directly the students, that make these initiatives possible. Because it's engineering students turned graduates that will build buildings for industry, and business students turned graduates that will lead these industries of commerce. And there's also other students, policymakers, educators, and community leaders that will lead the way for fair access to prosperity. That sharing of knowledge and accumulation of wealth and progress are most gained from the experiences of the classroom. It's that intangible practice, the gains made from a quality education, that make these things a reality for students. You need that financial buy-in, but not just a financial buy-in, a personal one. The state needs to trust in higher education. Lucky for us, we have a champion in Frankfurt that is fighting that good fight. And that champion is Governor Steve Beshear. An attorney by profession, Governor Steve Beshear has a history of commitment to public service. He is a former state representative, attorney general, and lieutenant governor. After nearly 2 decades of private sector work, Governor Beshear returned to Frankfurt with a promise to restore trust to the state government. By creating his higher education work group, Governor Beshear brought together a talented group of men and women to address issues of access and affordability in our higher education community. Complementary to the work of the higher education community, the Governor has laid the groundwork for a competitive 21st century economy by modernizing the state's economic development toolbox in order to grow the existing business and attract new industry. As a native of Dawson Springs, he received his bachelor's degree and Juris Doctorate from the University of Kentucky. We won't hold that against him today. So please join me in recognizing the true Kentuckian, Governor Steve Beshear.
Share a few minutes with you to talk about some issues that I think we have in common. When I was elected governor in December of 2007, I sort of felt like that as I came into the office, the cupboard would be bare. But I didn't know that they had taken the cupboard with them too. And it became very clear very quickly that we were looking a recession in the eyes that was beginning to take its grip on the world, not just Kentucky, not just the United States, but the world. That has turned out to be the worst recession since the Great Depression that my parents lived through and that some of your grandparents lived through. When I saw what was coming, I set 2 goals for myself. Number 1 was a very simple goal, and that was to try to find ways to help our people survive this, to get through this, to keep their heads above water until the economy hit bottom, turned around, and started back up again, and we could get people back to work. And so we've spent the last 19 or 20 months doing a lot of what I would call short-term things to help people as we all struggle to get through this recession. We've done things like urge Congress successfully to extend unemployment benefits for longer than they usually run. And that has been helpful to people. Folks aren't drawing unemployment benefits because they want to. They're drawing them because they've lost their job in this bad recession, and they need some help to get through this until they can get that job back or find a new job. We are approaching a period of time where those extended benefits are about to run out. And so I have urged our delegation in Congress, and other governors are joining with me, and we're urging them to, again, extend those benefits because we're not through this yet. We still have about 11% unemployment in Kentucky, and it's about as bad all around the United States. And it's going to take more time for us to get this economy moving again and to get people back to work. And I don't want to get in the situation where we have so many people who can't put food on the table for their families or keep a roof over their head while they're getting through this situation that we're dealing with. We worked hard to rejuvenate the housing market a little bit by investing in affordable housing and going into our communities and working with community action agencies and others to build more affordable housing and to weatherize the housing that we have. And this has been an exciting program that's come out of President Obama's stimulus package, is that we have received millions of dollars in weatherization. And with that, we have been able to organize with the community action agencies all over the state and begin to work on the homes of lower income folks and public housing to weatherize that, to save energy, to become more energy efficient, which in turn puts more money into the pockets of the people who live there. Instead of having to pay more for energy, they're paying less, and it gives them more money to spend on other necessities. So we've been doing things like that as we move through this recession. But I had a very important second goal, in addition to the survival goal. And that second goal was that while we work our way through this, we cannot afford to hunker down and do nothing. Now is exactly the time when we've got to continue making some very vital investments in some very basic things in our society so that we continue to build that foundation to where when we start coming out of this economic recession, we'll have that good solid foundation to take advantage of the opportunities that are going to be out there for us in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Now, what do I mean by those vital investments? Well, I'm looking at one of the most vital investments that we need to make and so far have been able